we're up to legacy. There's a whole bunch of stuff I don't need to share anymore because I think you get it, like, you know, what my deal is, or, you know, the whole why we're bothering to do this, to really figure ourselves out and, you know, improve in our current role or transition, or, you know, just whatever it is. We've pretty consistently been doing activities, we're doing the reflection work, and I'm optimistic that you've found it easy to take action in the things you're doing day to day, or even if it's over the short to medium term. As far as progress, so we start with analysis, we did values, we've done purpose, we've done vision. Today we do legacy, which is what will put a bow around the whole analysis section. And hopefully either with the template I shared with you, or using something like what's on the screen, you've come up with your purpose, values, and what that looks like for a vision. And so for me, you know, to connect with people so that together we can learn, be better, and succeed, valuing authenticity, pragmatism, honesty, being principled, fortitude. And that vision is to work daily with people like you to help grow their personal and business capability, that have that entrepreneurial spirit, that love to hustle and create value for others. Those three things directly feed into legacy, and everything we're about to do in the planning stages as well. Especially when we start looking at brand, you're going to see that we'll come back to each element that we've covered so far. Needless to say, this doesn't need to be, you know, touched on. We know what's coming: values, purpose, vision, legacy. We know we're focused on legacy. Basically, the core outcome for today's session is, what will you leave behind for your family? What will you leave behind for your career? And so when I think of legacy, I'm talking about, what is the thing that you're leaving behind? My wife asks a good question of me often enough, which is, what do you imagine people saying at your funeral? And so that the things they say, that's your legacy. And so we're going to use a couple of those concepts and ways of thinking to answer the question, what will you leave behind? Now, it doesn't need to literally mean death. That is a helpful thought exercise to think about, you know, when you're at the end, what have you left behind? But it also could be, you know, you're 50, you're retiring. What's the legacy you've left in your career? What's the legacy you've left for your kids now that they're 18, 20, whatever it is? So we'll go through those questions in this session. And so the first activity, it's pretty straightforward because we've basically talked about it, is about asking yourself, when I leave this world, what will I leave my parents, partner, children, siblings, extended family, the world? And it'll be about considering what tangible, emotional, mental, and educational lessons you'll leave behind. And so we'll use those sort of statements and questions to answer the first part of your legacy. The next activity that we'll go into is coming up with a life legacy statement. And so this is about answering what it is for your life. And so what will you leave your family? So it could be assets, it could be information products, it could be property that has passive income, or it could be a paid off house that your kid, you know, just lives in after you leave. What will you have taught them? And, you know, how does that relate to what they will be? And so we'll use these templates to elicit some good thinking. We're then going to go in and ask the question, when you leave the workforce, what will be your legacy? What will you leave for colleagues, companies, and the next generation? What will you have changed, improved, and innovated? And so this will give us those two sides of the coin. You know, you and I were going to work till probably 50, if not forever, because of just the way the world is. And so, you know, what will we have changed? What will have you improved in the workforce? And again, we'll consider the tangible, emotional, mental, and educational lessons you'll leave others. And so that will be, again, another thought activity where we'll do some elicitation, do some writing, capture the sentiment, and then use it and chuck it in your career legacy statement. You know, so something like, I will leave my company A, B, C, D assets. So it could be, I'll leave my company a suite of security by design assets that allow them to continually sell security by design products. I will have taught my colleagues how to figure out their purpose and live that daily in their work. In my industry, I will have changed the way people approach eliciting values in government. Instead of it being a pick list of aspirations, it'll actually be people's core values. So it could be something like that, where you look through what it is you want to leave behind in your career, and we plug it into the appropriate statement. Where we get to from there is we get to start bringing a few things together in this analysis phase. So value plus purpose equals vision. That gives you your legacy. If you do live your values daily, if you live your purpose daily, if you get to the point where you're living your vision all the time or working towards it, if you do that forever, the outcome of that will be your legacy. And so in completing the legacy activity, it is a good point to pause before we go into the next stage of the success framework. And I'll ask this at the end of today's session. I'll ask, you know, reflect on what you want to leave behind. If you're living your purpose and you're living your vision and you're working towards that, are you going to create the legacy that you wish to create? And then hopefully we'll have some sort of equation like this, where you've got your purpose, values, vision, your family and career legacy. I won't necessarily deep dive into mine. I mean, anyone could pause it and have a read. It really is, legacy is really, it's your big picture for you, what you're going to leave behind. And so if you wanted to come back to the recording, pause it and read it, you could, but you'll have some sort of a legacy statement. And if we need to later on in the session, I can read through it and give you some examples. And once we've finished this, we'll keep the journey going. I'll brief you on brand, personal brand, because it's awesome and it's got some of the best challenges and questions that you'll get asked to date. And there'll be some really fun activities in that. And then we'll continue on with the program. And so at the end of this session today, you absolutely will have nailed legacy, or at least have the framework to keep iterating on it and building it out and be able to know exactly what it is you're going to leave behind.